The stranger came early in February one wintry day through a biting wind and a driving snow, the last snowfall of the year over the town, walking from Bramblehurst railway station and carrying a little bag portmanteau in his thickly gloved hand. He was wrapped up from the head to foot, and the brim of his soft felt hat hid every inch of his face, but the shiny tip of his nose, the snowbed, peeled itself against his shoulder and chest, and added a wide crest to the burden he carried. He staggered into the coach, horses more dead than alive, and plunged his portmanteau down a fire. He cried, "In the name of humanity, human charity, a room and a fire!" He stamped and shook the snow from off himself in the bar, and followed Mrs. Hall into her guest parlour to strike his bargain, and with that much introduction, that and a couple of sovereigns flung upon the table, he took up his quarters in the inn. Mrs. Hall lit the fire and left him there while she wanted to prepare him a meal with her own hands. A guest to stop at piping in the water time was an winter time, and was unheard of piece of luck, let alone a guest who has no haggler, and she was resolved to show off her worthy of her good fortune. As soon as the bacon as well underway, and Milly's and her lymphatic maid, he has brisked up by a few deftly chosen expression of contempt. He carried the clothes, plates, and vessels into parlour, and began to lay them with the utmost eclat. Although the fire was bumping or brisky, she was surprised to end staring out of the window at the falling snow in the yard. His gloved hand was clasped behind him, and she seemed to be lost in thought. She noticed that the melting snow that still sprinkled his shoulders dripped upon her carpet. "Can I take your hat and coat, sir?" she said, "and give them dry in the kitchen?" "No," he said without turning. He was not sure she had heard him, and was about to repeat her questions. He turned his head and looked at her over his shoulder. "I prefer to keep them," he said with emphasis, and she noticed that he wore big blue spectacles with sidelights, and had a bird-sized whisker over his coat collar that completely hid his cheeks and face. "Very well, sir," she said, "as you like. In a bit room will be warmer." He had no answer, and had turned his face away from her again, and Mrs. Hall, feeling that her conversational advances were ill-timed, let the rest of the table things in a quickly get up and whisked out of the room. When his collar turned up, his dripping hat brim turned down, hiding his face and ears completely, she put down the eggs and bacons with considerable emphasis, and called rather than said to him, "Your lunch is served, sir." "Thank you," he said at the same time, and did not stir until she was closing the door. Then we swung around and approached the table with a certain eager quickness. As they went behind the bar to the kitchen, she heard a sound repeated at regular intervals. Chirk, 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 it went. Sound of a spawn being rapidly whistled on the basin. "That girl," she said, "there, I clean forget it. She gave a she gave Milly a few verbal steps for her excessive slowness. She had cooked the ham and eggs to temper better than the sent to him. Your launch movement." Then he swung round and approached. As she went, "There, I forget it. It would be so long," and she herself machinations mustered. She gave a few verbal steps, excessive slowness. She had cooked the hams and eggs at the table, and then everything, while Milly Her idiot had only succeeded in delaying the mustard and him a new guest and wanting to stay. She Then she filled the mustard pot and putting with a certain stateliness upon a gold and black tray, carried it into the parlor. She rapped and entered promptly as she did so her visitor and moved quickly, so that she got but a glimpse of a white object disappearing behind the table. It would seem he was picking something from the floor. She rapped down the mustard pot on the table, and then she noticed the overcoat and he had been taken off and put over a chair in front of the fire, and a pair of her boots threatened rust to her steel and fender. She went to these things resolutely. I suppose I have them to try now, she said in a voice that broke no did Daniel.